So let's see the types of independent suspension system. So basically there are two types of independent suspension system which are widely used in passenger vehicles like cars, sports cars. Let's move to the next topic, that is automobile springs or suspension spring. A suspension spring serves two purposes. First, it acts as a buffer between the suspension frame, and second, each spring transfers vehicle weight to the suspension components and again which transfer it to the wheels. It means spring transfers the vehicle weight to the wheels, right? And the material used for spring manufacturing is known as tempered steel alloy. It is also known as spring steel. Basically it is an alloy of chrome silicon or chrome vanadium alloy, right? Types of springs. Basically there are two types of springs used in an automobile suspension. First one is a coiled spring, which is used in all kinds of vehicle as shock absorber. And second type of spring is a leaf spring. This spring is used only in heavy duty vehicles like buses and trucks, whereas coiled spring are used in all the vehicles, whether it is a heavy duty vehicle or light motor vehicle like bikes, cars, etc. First we see coiled springs. You can see the picture of a coiled spring installed in a bicycle. Coiled springs are made of a special round spring steel wrapped in a helix shape. You can see the picture. Let's talk about the stiffness of this spring. If your spring is having a larger diameter, that means it is having more stiffer. If it is having shorter height, your spring is having more stiffer. If it is having less number of coils, your spring will be stiffer. Now let's see leaf springs. It is originally called laminated or carrier spring. Sometimes it is referred as semi-elliptic spring or cart spring. You can see the picture of a leaf spring installed in a truck wheel, rear wheel. It is a very old technology, and because of very heavy weight of the vehicle, leaf springs are used as a suspension system. Structure, reinforced bow-like structure. You can see it is a bow-like structure and it is used in heavy motor vehicles because of heavy weight of the vehicle. Construction. Let's see the construction. These 2 points are known as eye of the spring. This is known as U-bolt, where shaft axle or shafts are mounted on U-bolt. The first leaf is known as master leaf, and there are other leaves. They are known as extra full length leaves, also known as graduated length leaves. So these two are extra full length leaves, these are graduated length leaves. 1 2 3 1 2, right? This clip is known as rebound clip. This clip is known as center clip, right? So you can mount your axle at the top as well as at the bottom. It depends upon your arrangement of a vehicle suspension system. Leaf spring mountings. You can see here the wheel axle is mounted at the bottom of the leaf spring, but in a first picture the axle is mounted on the top of the leaf spring, right? So this is front frame mounting point I1, rear frame mount point I2, also known as shackle. This is known as shackle, leaf spring in your axle, and it's a wheel hub. So this is the leaf spring mounting. Manufacturing process. Let's see the manufacturing process of leaf spring. First process is shearing of flat bar. Second is center hole punching and drilling. Third is heating process, forming, eye forming or wrapper forming. Next is diamond cutting, end trimming, width cutting, end tapering. Next, end punching, end grooving, end bending, end forging, eye grinding. Next one, center hole punching, drilling and nibbing. Fourth process is heat treatment, heating, camber forming, hardening, quenching, tempering. These are the heat treatment process. Fifth is surface preparation. In this, short pinning is carried out or stress pinning is carried out. Primary painting. What do you mean by pinning? Pinning is the process of working a metal surface to improve its material properties, usually by mechanical means such as hammer blows, by blasting with short or blast of light beams with laser, right? And pinning is normally a core work process, right? And sixth process is eye bush preparation. Bushes are used for the support of the metal part. In this, eye reaming, eye boring, bush insertion, bush reaming. Seventh, assemble. Last process is assemble, presenting and load testing. Finish painting, painting is done. And next point is marking and packing. Material used. The material used for leaf spring is usually a plain carbon steel having 0.9021% carbon. So carbon steel is used for leaf spring manufacturing. According to Indian standards, the recommended materials are, for automobiles it's a 50 CR1 V23, V for vanadium, CR for chromium, 55 silicon to manganese 90. These are the alloys used in hardened and tempered state for the leaf spring. Now let's see what is helper spring. You can see the diagram here. It is the main spring, and helper spring, as the name suggests, it helps the main spring, right? So it is a truck body, right hand, it's a truck body. This is a helper spring attached to the main leaf spring, and whenever the heavy loads are there, helper spring supports the main leaf spring and supports the body, right? In this picture also you can see this is a main leaf spring and the blue portion is a helper spring. So a helper spring is a suspension enhancement product engineered to enhance, support and help various types of original equipment suspension. So here the main leaf spring is a original equipment suspension. In this case, this leaf spring, this is the original equipment suspension, right? And helper spring is used to support the main leaf spring, right? There are two basic types of helper spring. First one is, it may be steel springs or it may be pneumatic springs, right? Next one is a torsion bar. Torsion bar is the alternative of a helical spring, right? So you can see here, this is your wheel hub, and this rod is known as torsion bar, right? You can see the picture. Whenever any bumps is contacted with the wheel, this bar is turned, and again after some times it returns to its original position. So the torsion bar is basically a length of metal rod anchored at one end to the car body and at the other end to the suspension lower link. Just see the pictures. As the wheel passes over a bump, the bar twists and it returns to its original position when the bump is passed and restores the car to its normal drive height. So it works as a helical coil spring or a suspension system. Advantages of torsion bar. There are two advantages. First, suspension. Torsion bar suspension are soft ride due to elasticity of the bar, durability, easy adjustability of the ride height and small profile along the width of the vehicle, right? So this is the first advantage. Second advantage is it takes up less of vehicle's interior volume than coil springs, right? So there are two advantages. First, the ride is soft, and second is the vehicle interior's volume and second is it takes up less of the vehicle's interior volume as compared to coil springs, right? Disadvantages of torsion bar. Three disadvantages. It cannot provide a progressive spring rate, as it works as a spring but it's not a spring, right? So we get very small amount of spring rate. In most of the torsion bar systems, ride height and therefore many handling features may be changed by simply adjusting bolts that connect the torsion bars to the steering knuckles, right? Second, in most cars with this type of suspension, longitudinal torsion bars extend under the passenger compartment, cutting into interior space by raising the floor in case of longitudinal torsion bars. While in transverse system, torsion bar length is limited by vehicle width. You cannot increase the length of torsion bar more than the width of the vehicle. So this is the limitation. Third one is a more inertia effect due to lot of nuts and bolts, right? Now let's see the next topic, that is telescopic damper. It is also known as shock absorber. You can see the picture. It is very common device. It is installed in your bikes and cars. So a shock absorber or damper is a mechanical or hydraulic device. Why it is hydraulic device? Because hydraulic fluids are used, basically oils are used for damping. So it is designed to absorb and damp shock impulses. This is by converting the kinetic energy of the shock into another form of energy, typically heat, which is then dissipated. Means kinetic energy is converted into heat energy, right? Impulses comes in the form of kinetic energy and it is converted, it is transferred to the another form of energy and again it is dissipated. Most of our shock absorbers are a form of dashpot or damper which resists motion via viscous friction, right? So due to the fluid used in this system, the shock is easily absorbed through the dashpot or damper, right? Construction. Let's see the construction. The main components are inner cylinder, second outer reservoir, piston, fourth eyes, protecting corner, foot wall and piston wall. You see all the components are here in this diagram. So it consists of an inner cylinder fitted with the head at the open mouth. The head is also screwed into the outer reservoir, which is fixed to the eye, by means of which the reservoir is secured to the axle. The piston slides inside the inner cylinder. This is the piston. The piston is secured to the piston rod, which is connected to the other eye, and this eye will be connected to the chassis frame. This first eye and second eye is connected to the axle. This portion is connected to the axle, and second is connected to the chassis frame. So these are the eyes. You can see in this diagram, these are the eyes, 1 and 2, right? The outer portion of the piston rod and the reservoir are covered with a protecting cover, which is fixed with the eye and the rod. The gland provided at the head prevents the leakage of the fluid by scraping around the piston rod and then passing it to the reservoir through the drain hole. The inner cylinder is provided with two valve systems. You can see the valve. One foot valve is fixed at the bottom and the other with the sliding piston, right? Both the piston valves as well as the foot valve assembly has outer ring of holes and inner ring of the holes covered by the disc valves. So these are the main components and main arrangement of a telescopic shock absorber. Now let's see the working. The inner cylinder is completely filled with the fluid and the reservoir is half filled, right? The inner cylinder is completely filled with the fluid. When the axle eye is moved upward, then the fluid is displaced from the bottom side to the top side of the piston. And under this condition, the fluid must pass through the disc valve by opening the outer ring of the holes. In this condition, when the upper portion of the cylinder is fully filled or has less space, then the fluid will also be displaced through the inner rings of the holes of the foot valve and the level of fluid will rise in the reservoir. So here you can see the extension cycle and the compression cycle. When load is applied to the upper portion of the telescopic shock absorber, the fluid moves toward upwards. When it is released, then the fluid again towards downwards. So we have successfully completed the unit number 1. The first part of unit number 1 was vehicle structure and second part was suspension system. I hope you have understood all the concepts of suspension and vehicle layout, right? Thank you.